everyone, and welcome to GuildGab episode 40! We made it to 40! We are back after a week hiatus. So last week we had the new Lion's Arch that came out, as well as a bunch of skill and trait changes, so we're going to be talking about all that. We're going to play a little bit of catch-up today. As well as there was a blog post that went live just before we started recording about missed champions and some changes to Stronghold and PvP game modes and queuing, so we're going to talk about that as well. But before we do that, let me introduce everyone. I am your host, AuroraPeachy, and with me today is Akasaurus Rex, RPG Shack, and MMO Inks. What's up,
How
guys?
How we doing, guys? Thanks for joining us.
We are missing a Corvus today. We are missing a Corvus. Where's Charvis?
Charvis!
We don't have a Corvus today. He's fine. Just he doesn't have internet right now. But we have Charvis instead. complete with Beanie. So anytime Necromancer is mentioned, he's gonna pop up and
you just get like a
or Frostfang. Did somebody say Frostfang?
Frostfang. I said.
So,
okay.
I know we have catch-up to play today, but I kind of want to... Let's start off by talking a little bit about Stronghold and the blog post that came out just today. Basically, I didn't have time to read every single word of it, but basically, the queuing has changed, so you can actually pick if you want Stronghold or if you want, like, Conquest modes. So that's pretty cool. We'll go into more detail. The other thing is that there's more missed champions now. The heroes that we got to summon before, we got to summon Tarai Asa. Now we have a choice between 3 of them. You actually get to choose it before the match starts. And then, depending on which player does the summon, it'll summon their, not hero, but a missed champion now. And one of them is Vizu from Guild Wars Factions.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun,
That
dun.
was, I mean, Vizu. Like, cover of Factions, Cantha, expansion Vizu.
Oh,
That's
cool.
Nika.
Nika.
That's Nika. Did I say the wrong? I said Vizu.
Aw.
You gotta correct me right away on this stuff. I knew I was gonna say the wrong name. I didn't write it down. Whoever this is.
Not all girls look alike. No, I'm sorry.
Well, I've lost all credibility, so take it away, guys.
So, it looks like we've got 3 very different kinds of heroes. We've got your kind of almost like Trinity, really. Aside from you've got a stealth, you've got a DPS, and you've got a tank kind of hero. So we might as well start with the new shiny one, who's Nika, who was a henchman that you could hire in factions after about the halfway point. And her passive, she will pulse stealth all around you, so that's going to be really handy if you want to kind of stealth a whole bunch of your little bomb runner dudes and get them up there. And yeah, it's just nice. And what's really interesting is that all 3 of these have an elite skill that will only ping in the Lord Room.
Right.
So you get that extra bit of a little boost saying, hey, you got into the Lord Room, but you can't activate these really powerful skills to give you that little bit of an edge if you're not already kind of at the end. So whether or not it kind of turns once the final gate is down, it's pretty much GG. That might be slightly concerning if as soon as that happens and people are there, you can ping the elite skill, and you know, if you get mass stealth and then she does damage to everybody in the Lord Room. And I think a couple of the others do fairly similar things as well. So yeah, but I'm quite excited for Nika, especially because she's the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have, so when you summon them, they all have a different ability. Nika will stealth everybody, and the first time you come out of stealth, you will blind your opponents. Then they have this passive ability, and then, of course, they have a stronger ability when they get into the Lord's Room that they do. For example, she goes into stealth and does a lot of damage. The pirate, Savad, Grim Savad, he will call his pirate ship to rain down cannonballs into the room. And Tarai actually has like a taunt. He'll taunt the NPCs to them and do a powerful attack.
It's a nice retail on Tarai Ossa on that elite.
Right, yeah. The retaliation. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not sure exactly why they revamped this. I think it's interesting that two of these, for example, the pirate, Grim Savad and Nika, will both be. You'll have to unlock them via PvP reward tracks. And Nika, you can only unlock if you buy or if you own Heart of Thorns. So, it's nice that there's a reason for structured PvP players to buy. I'm not sure why Grim Savad isn't behind that wall as well. I feel like they should both be behind that wall personally. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Everybody, for just for clarification's sake, everybody gets Tarai Asa as a standard, and each player can set their champion to be whoever they want. So if I have Tarai and Alex, for example, has Nika, if I summon the hero or the champion forward, we'll get Tarai on the map. If Alex summons, then we'll get Nika on the map. If we can do a double summon, then we'll get both of those on the map at the same time, and that seems pretty insane to have different ones active on the map at the same time, because they can be pretty strong. If you had like a Nika and one of the others, will she stealth the champion? Because if she does, and they run at the same rate to the Lord's Room, that's pretty strong.
I think. Well, that's interesting because I've not actually seen the hero on your opposite path, the route that they take. Do they just come through the storage area and then towards the main gate, or do they go a different route towards the enemy's keep?
They just run right down the path. They don't actually, unless they hit a door, they don't stop for anything.
They spawn at the same place though.
Right. Yeah.
But what I meant, say if you're running left to right, and you spawn say if you're red and you're going across the top of the map, and you spawn the one at the bottom, you can't really get through the supply spawn point for red. That has to work up to the other lane.
They don't spawn at the point you summon them from. They all come out of your. They all come out of your garrison there.
Yeah,
so they all come into your lane automatically.
Yeah, but they look pretty nice. It's pretty cool that Tarai has the taunt ability. So at least they're putting these new abilities that are coming in with the pack updates and Heart of Thorns, at least with stuff that people can get automatically. And again, it's nice to have someone like Grim that you can actually unlock through playing PvP and what have you. So I think eventually most people are going to have at least Grim and Tarai, if not Nika as well.
I just hope they're balanced. They have to balance.
Right.
And you don't want like the strongest one to be locked behind Heart of Thorns. I don't know. Do you think that was intentional? Do you think they always had the intent of making more than one hero? And then they were going to lock one behind the expansion?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so. I think this was developed recently from feedback from players.
Maybe
I
just to give Stronghold some variety?
Wrong. But yeah, it definitely
rather
gives
than it's
teams
always
variety.
Triasa all the time, and then people have their definite, if you have the same hero, I can see that playing into some kind of meta, and that, that if that's a constant, then that's something that you can rely upon. But I guess you could always do that because your whole team could always pick the same one, if that, like, Triasa was the meta or something. So I guess, I don't know, maybe just to give some variety to gameplay, if they're balanced. Hopefully you're always going to see different ones and people aren't just going to settle on one.
From what I saw of Grim in the last Stronghold beta, they're both pretty evenly matched. Like, Grim's got a massive amount of power in that cannon that he's got, but he's, I don't want to say squishy exactly, but he dies quicker than Tariosa does.
Right. Yeah.
So I think by and large it will be balanced, and I'm going to assume that you're going to have to escort Nika pretty much all the way. You can't just... You know what you can do with a couple of... You can leave them for a little bit on their own. You're going to have to be all the way with Nika, if not just to take advantage of her stealth ability. She's going to drop like a fly. As soon as the enemy team realize that you've spawned Nika, they're going to be all over her. I think she's going to be very, very powerful.
Right. It's interesting too that she probably will be armored weaker than the other two, but I have to question how much damage is she going to do. Like she's going to be stealthing around and popping around in the Lord's room. Does she then do more damage because of that? Are there going to be these backstabs and whatever the case is? Tarai, on the other hand, more tanky. He has the taunt. He gives Aegis when he's summoned. So, he sounds incredibly strong as well. And that taunt has a retaliation follow-up. Now, the retaliation probably won't be too bad on the NPCs, but, on players, obviously, this will be stronger. Or was his taunt only for NPCs? I don't have the article in front of me, but...
Ooh, I'll have a quick look.
But either way, it sounds incredibly strong, and they still have that knockdown attack, so...
Yeah. It just says damage per hit.
Okay.
Takes a huge amount of retaliation damage per hit, so...
And then Grim, when you summon Grim, he unleashes cannonballs to all enemies on the field, which knocks them down as well. And then his big finishing move is he summons cannonballs into the Lord's room, which once again knocks people down. So, that knockdown can be pretty strong. You're talking about interrupts here. You're talking about being incapacitated for a second or so.
That's going to be really useful because the Lords don't tend to last that long once you're in. You can, if there's a couple of you can pretty much ignore all of the elite mobs, just go straight for the Lord and try and DPS them down.
Let's pause the show right here for a second because Corvus said he has things up and running. So let's see if we can get him in here. We've suddenly grown a Corvus. Hi, Corvus. What's up?
Surprise. What's up?
He's a Sylvari. We can clone him.
He's back from the dead.
Fashionably late. So we were talking about Stronghold. Let's move on to the queue system. What do you guys think that they actually did make separate queues?
That's very needed. I think everyone wanted it, right? Like, absolutely.
I could not be happy enough about that. This way you can queue for whichever one you want. You don't like Stronghold? No problem. You will never have to worry about queuing for Stronghold. If you love Stronghold like I do, then you never have to worry about queuing for something other than Stronghold. So
that sounds great.
And if you choose to queue only for Stronghold, then it'll only match you up with other people who queued only for Stronghold, so that you're not going to get people who don't want to play in the mix. So
yeah, it's brilliant.
It's good.
I'll say, hopefully, if it'll mean the end of it'll mean a reduction in the amount of farming PvP maps as well, because it's very PvE centric, I think. The Stronghold, or it's certainly much more so than the current PvP maps, and just doing something to actually get players involved in actually playing PvP instead of doing the map farms is pretty cool, I think.
Now, if they could just add Courtyard into that as well, that would be fantastic.
Separate queue for Courtyard.
I don't have anything against Courtyard, but if I want to play Courtyard, then just I'll queue for Courtyard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds logical.
All right. Any other comments on the blog post today before we move on to Lion's Arch? Or as I've heard people calling it, Lobster's Arch.
Lobster's Arch.
Under the sea.
It's so good. So very, very good.
I like it.
It's Disney World, you guys.
It's Disney World.
It's a theme park. Oh,
got a giant octopus.
The top half is definitely very SeaWorld-ish, Disneyland kind of water park area.
Yeah.
It's just
I
looks
like
so good.
There's like I like the kind of there's a really strong Mediterranean feel to like the architecture, with everything having that kind of whitewash feel, and then with the strong blues and being by the sea. It's like really nice because like so many fantasies, like fantasy games and stuff, often go for the Gothic architectural look. So it's really nice to see this like the smooth edges of the walls and that wonderful, very Greco Hellenistic vibe to it.
It's it reminds me quite a bit of Alona. Actually, it feels very Alonian. It reminds me a little bit of Kamadan.
I didn't think of that, but yeah, a little bit with like the light colors and that kind of architecture.
Yeah, there's lots of sandstone and lots of glass, and lots of like golds and blues, especially around like the Mystic Forge and the bank and. Yeah, it almost feels like that's the city that they originally wanted to make. Because, at least to a giant lobster aside, because that is ridiculous, but it is. It is. In what? No, come on. In what sane world does someone go? You know what we need for our dock? Let's
giant
make a
lobster.
Giant lobster, shall we? And everyone else went, yeah, it's economically viable.
Well, it's funny, if you follow and I know Aurora has done this, but if you follow the tour guide around, they get to a part where she talks about the lobster, and the tour guide had apparently submitted different designs, and she shares Alex's dismay for the lobster, which is like I don't know how this design won or something like that.
She shares her dismay for just about at every stop.
Well, that's true.
She goes and it was great because
bitter.
on last week's points of interest, they specifically said that they meant for the tour guide like criticisms that both like the dev team had and that they knew the community would have. Like they put those into the tour guide of Lion's Arches. So great.
That is such a smart move to do. That's brilliant. And I've like seen like it feels like there's been like stuff like that throughout the game with like the kind of back dialogue. There's always like they're like doing kind of like a meta critique sometimes on things. So it's kind of like they know that they don't hit everything perfectly. So like often we'll put these like voices and other characters kind of being like, what the heck is going on with this? Or like, like just like, this is weird. It's awesome they did that stuff.
I will say it's... Oh, go on, sorry, mate.
I was just going to say, I think the octopus bank is my favorite because of the fish tank in the head.
The fish tank!
Yeah,
oh my gosh!
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. It's good.
I don't know, I was blown away by how detailed it all was. And it was the same kind of feeling I got when I played the beta for Heart of Thorns. Like you're walking around and you just notice just the insane amount of detail that there is in this map, and obviously that's carried over in designing this one. There's just so much to see there and so much going on, so much dialogue. It's amazing. I love it so much. And it feels like way more, I don't know, the original kind of Lion's Arch, it was all built of old ships and kind of, it had a unique thing to it, but I think this is almost more unique and more kind of stylized and unique to Lion's Arch, I think.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It will be a real shame if they destroy this one.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It's going to happen.
It's going to take a real big army from Bubbles. Bubbles will destroy it.
But what Corvus was saying about the little details making it, there's if you go into the Black Lion weaponsmith place, as you wander through, you know how now you've got to talk to different people to access the different weapon sets. But what's really cool is in front of them on the table is like a random weapon from that weapon set. So if you go and like in front of the Tempest weapon skin person, there's like the Tempest staff on like a plinth in front of them, and there's like the Balthazar sword in front of the Balthazar guy, and just like little bits like that. It's just so cool, and they have it above their heads as well. And the most recent one is at the front, so you can find it easily. And oh, it's great.
There's even a locked off, like the ones that are not available. It's locked off, and you can literally look through the hole and see the ones that you can't buy. They're like in there. They're like, we're restocking these ones. It's like that's so cool. Just those little touches are so cool.
I think
there's like millions of them throughout this. Like millions. I'm exaggerating. There's a lot of them throughout the city, obviously, and. Just like there's little kids playing. There's a variety of little kids playing with things, and you have the Denzins of LA riding brooms or playing with kites, and
that surprised me. Yeah, the kids running around with a kite, and when I saw the NPC ride past me on their broom, I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" I was like, "Oh my god!"
It just adds a lot of life to the city. It makes it feel more alive, and.
It's a
It's
theme.
just
I think,
awesome.
it's. I think that's been like a real strong theme with this Lion's Arch. The fact that like obviously the position of everything still makes sense and kind of like a to be economic with your time when you're trying to, if you're at the bank and going to the trading post, they're still close by and stuff. But I think like it's almost like they put way more focus on like the story kind of aspect of it almost. Like there's NPCs for specific weapon sets, like they're the people who sell this, and there's way more NPCs in general. Like they focused on making this kind of a believable place rather than just like an efficient place to go and do the things you need to do. And just there's a lot of depth. It feels like a real living, like breathing place now, which I mean, to be honest, Lion's Arch has been dead, but it totally didn't seem alive for the past year or so anyway. And I know it's just such a huge change. You go there and it feels packed, and I've noticed way more players in general anyway, like walking around, but just because of the NPCs and the voices you're hearing all the time, and I don't know, there's just so much to see, and it feels so, I don't know, it's hustling and bustling. It's amazing.
And what's
the
cool
little
about
band that plays at the crow's nest and stuff.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Tyrion Direction.
Yeah.
Is it called Tyrion Direction? Or
Yeah.
is that what people are calling it?
No, that's what it's called.
Oh
Tyrion
my
Direction.
god.
The detail they put into that too, like if you watch the flute guy, his fingers are like, I don't know that they're
Really?
necessarily hitting the right keys, but he's very animated in playing his flute. And,
wow.
the drum guy he's rocking out with his drum, and it's very cool.
It's amazing.
They put on a little show at night.
What I like most about all the NPCs and like the new dialogue and the updates to them is that a lot of what they're talking about and saying is relevant to this current Lion's Arch. You do have some of the same NPCs that are repeating the same dialogue that they've always repeated, but I almost see that as nostalgia, like, oh, that human in that char's still talking about that, or still talking about Ellen Keel. But you have kids pretending to be Marjorie and Casimir going on a detective hunt. You have, Herotron, who is now Herotron, doing his thing and, giving people of Lion's Arch jobs and, and just all this kind of updated stuff. You have Blumino and Penelope are like in their home now.
Little babies.
Kids.
All this like, oh my god, it's.
Oh, I didn't find them.
You feel like it's current, and like even the NPCs are talking about current events in Guild Wars 2. It's not just a remake of old Lion's Arch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, what's interesting about there's a little boy and a little girl that they want to play detective, and one wants to be Casimir. The little girl wants to be Casimir, and the little boy says, "Okay, I'll be Marjorie then." What's interesting about that is in the old LA, in the original LA, there were two children. I believe they were both female though, but they were pretending to be Ritlock and Logan rather than Marjorie and Casimir.
Yep.
So it's nice, like you said, it's nice that they transition that into a more current thing. And like that, the vibe is still alive there.
Absolutely. What I love about it is... actually, I want to talk about the lighthouse. I frigging love the lighthouse.
Is
Aside
so
from the
cool.
aside from the namings, it's alright. I agree. Phoenix Roost is ridiculous.
Poor Grady.
Poor Grady.
Even the devs agree. Did you see Poi when they're like,
I did.
I
That
didn't
made me
actually
so
think
happy. I
that
was
they
like,
were going to
yes.
actually let the players vote. And
Right.
As Peter Freeze said, the players are wrong.
he did.
Players
He
are
did.
wrong. Good.
Sorry, but you're all wrong.
Yeah.
Freeze
Which
says
is-
so.
Which is weird that they went the community because they fixed the cutthroat politics one.
Oh, damn.
The lighthouse. Am I the only one who thought that was the ley line magic going up?
Yeah, no, that's exactly
Through
what
the
I thought.
lighthouse, but as soon as I saw
exactly.
the inside and the way it pulsed, I was just like, are they tapping into ley line magic to power this lighthouse?
And what a better way? Like we used like poisoned magic to basically kill Zaitan. Like that's the story behind that. Wouldn't it be cool to have the lighthouse be like a weapon to fend off?
Oh my god!
The same kind of thing.
It's like
Whoa.
the Death Star there.
It's not a lighthouse. It's actually like a giant ray gun.
Yeah, exactly.
That when we
Oh, that'd be awesome.
find Mordramoth, it's gonna shoot up into the air and then come down on Mordramoth. Kind of like Scarlet, because Scarlet had that laser, those red
Yeah.
lasers that came down.
The breach
The
making Mark
lighthouse
too.
is like I guess it could be a weapon. That would be interesting, right? But doesn't it also draw like the dragons to it because they're like, oh, the magic is here, right? So it's kind of like a giant beacon. They're like, oh, okay, here's the magic. We'll just suck it through this lighthouse
I didn't think
straw.
about that part of it.
That's
Plus
what all the cannons are for. That's what the cannons are for.
Yeah,
The magic doesn't work. They've got a bajillion cannons set up to blow the crap out of everything.
Safe. It wouldn't really be safe for Grady's daughter to be standing where she's standing and stuff underneath, as well.
That's true.
I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% convinced it's ley line magic. I think more likely it would be some kind of Azuran technology.
Yeah.
But just because, like Ink said, it does. If we're tapping into the ley lines, it draws the dragons into Lion's Arch, and
right.
That's not terribly smart.
Humans are stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
Bacteria are not very bright. I mean,
we're not a bright bunch in Guild Wars 2, are we?
No, not at all.
We've got a
And
threat to the entire world. Got a threat to the entire world. When the apocalypse is coming. Let's split up into teams of 5.
Azuras in general will like repurpose things. I mean, they've been using Primordius's magic to fuel their gate network for forever, right? It's not the case anymore, but that's what it was in Guild Wars 1. They were using his magic to fuel their own gate network. So they don't really have a problem. It's like, oh, this is a great, energy resource. Let's use it. I could totally see them just saying, hey, let's just light the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Right. It's the Asura that redirected. They have the Thelmanova reactor. That's what redirected the ley line magic to Mordremoth in the first place. So even though that's in Quest, they obviously know how to control it.
Yeah.
So,
cutting them corners.
Right, so I can see the Asura, and like you said, the waypoint system, I can see the Asura not being intimidated, like you said, like, oh, let's just light the lighthouse with it. I still think it's a weapon, but, I don't know. I think it's ley line magic.
I went under to check if anything had changed with, because where the Breachmaker hit, you can see the magic kind of rising up and kind of still, leaking, basically. And that's still the exact same. And I was hoping there'd be some kind of clue. Maybe the magic wasn't flowing anymore.
That's what I was thinking, too. But yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same. The Breachmaker parts are gone except for the drill, and that giant hole is still pretty much exactly the same. But the thing is, there's a thing down there to get Maudry. You have to go down there to charge something. So they can't take that hole away. You still have to be able to get that item.
Yeah.
And this is why you only rely on char technology when you're building a proper city. Don't let those humans do it or the Asura.
Rely on the steam.
Just exactly. Steampunk powered kitties know what they're doing. Just let them do it.
If I remember the beta correctly, I'm fairly sure that the meta event before the Wyvern mostly involves dodging crashing char helicopters that suck.
Well,
there's a reason they're all crashing.
That is
made.
That is like air technology, which isn't what they're good at. That's air technology. Let the humans do that. But for actual, defense, just leave it to the kiddies. They know what they're doing. Just tons of cannons everywhere.
Well, they could have built all those cannons. There's lots of cannons along the coast in Lion's Arch now.
Yeah.
Or the Aerodome, Lion's Arch Aerodome.
Yeah.
Which is a giant manta ray, and then there's like one little airship up there.
Yeah. I'm excited to see if we're ever going to... It looks like that's an area we'll be able to get into, maybe with a story or something.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see if that instance or something ever opens up, because that would be really cool.
Yeah. And the first thing I thought of when we were given the vote to kind of pick names for these places, as soon as I knew there was going to be a place like that, the first thing I thought of was like, this is the place we're going to go to travel to a different continent. Like, we're going to go to Lion's Arch, we're going to go there, and we're going to get on an airship and go somewhere. Maybe, I wonder if they'll use that. I can't imagine they will really use that this expansion. But, I don't know, in the future.
I don't think so. But
might be
we could build a rocket ship and go into space.
For the space expansion,
the space expansion. It's going to happen.
I know.
It could happen,
Moon Alex is the final boss.
The Moon Alex is coming.
You guys are morons.
It's the evil moon from Majora's Mask, except it's Moon Alex coming down to destroy Tyria.
Too funny.
Oh.
But what's
guys.
great about Lion's Arch is that it's almost like a there are bits of it that's like a map out in the open world, isn't there? Because there's a few interesting events and a few different places to go. Like there's the Karka, there's the Exterminator achievement, and there's
Karka Hashling Hunt.
Yeah.
Thank you, ArenaNet. Thank
Finally.
you. Dragonite Ore Eater.
Because we were so sure that we were gonna have to wait for a Dragon Bash to come back at some point before we get an item like that. So no, it's super good. Princess, man.
Princess.
Princess.
I think
Also,
you streamed it, didn't you, Inks, on the Guild Wars 2 stream?
Yeah. I started it and then I continued on and finished it. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Absolutely loved it. Josh Foreman kind of stuck around for a while and he was telling me a little bit about, some of the different things and how it was all designed. I think it was laid out by somebody named, and I apologize because I don't know his last name, but somebody named Alex or Alexander who works for ArenaNet. And then Josh Foreman helped him place, like, I guess some of the Karka or something like that. There's one that's like above in this flower box, and the real way to get it is like to do the jumping puzzle, and it's towards the very end of the jumping puzzle, and shoot down at it. But you can also kind of shoot up in the corner, and he's like, you can kill it with splash damage. You just gotta splash the damage off the wall. So it's pretty interesting.
It like that one took me forever. So it's really, really great, but some of them are so unintuitive. It's a nightmare. There's one underneath the lighthouse, which is like there's a crack about this big that you have to know it's there to kind of get through, and we're probably going to talk about. Yeah, we're probably going to talk about the jumping puzzle in a bit anyway, but having to do most of the jumping puzzle with the friggin' rifle in your hands to get up to that one, it's just... But it's a great thing to do. It's really nice, rather than what you had to do with like Mordry, where you just had to collect a whole bunch of stuff and you could buy 80% of it on the trading post. So.
Well, and what was nice about it too is they gave you hints as to the area they were in. So like when I was on stream, I kind of went through them and said, okay, these are the ones in Sharkmaw Cavern. Let's go to Sharkmaw Cavern, and I'll try and find all of those with the hints and stuff. And like you can move on from section to section and get a general idea of where they're at. They even had the ones that were like in the nightclub, or like the underground nightclub, which was really kind of funny. That you can only get into at night, and now that was bugged out on some maps, but I didn't have an issue with it, luckily, and the door opened. You could get inside and give them the password as password thing, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
There was also I remember reading
oh, my microphone was muted. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ak.
I was just going to say there was a really cool thing that I remember reading up about them saying how in regards to the holidays was that they said, for instance, that from now on, I believe Winter's Day is always going to be in Divinity's Reach, and that they were open to the idea of all other kind of holidays, not necessarily having to always be in Lion's Arch, but they were also interested in doing this kind of thing of like, because like they're saying that they believe Winter's Day had a very strong human cultural element to it, so they're keeping it forevermore in Divinity's Arch, which I think is really cool, and I'd love to see that more with other holidays. For the different races to actually have their own distinct holidays that are only in like Holbreck or Radisum, and so yeah, that got me really excited, and I'd love to see what holidays will look like in New Lion's Arch as well, because that would be
well, we have the Lion's Court. Yeah, with the Lion's Court, which is under the giant jellyfish. I wonder if future holidays that could be held in Lion's Arch is it going to be so exclusive that it's only under that jellyfish, or is that kind of like the main party area? I hope decorations are like still
all
kind of spread out and all over.
Yeah.
Right. I hope it's not just focused right there.
I think decorations will be spread out everywhere, but I think the NPCs and stuff that you need to talk to might be under that roof. The other thing is, I'm a little I'm a little sad that I now voted for Lion's Court. I had always assumed the lion statue would stay in Lion's Court, and that's why I wanted to keep it the same name, because I thought the statue would be rebuilt there. But now it makes utterly no sense. It's called Lion's Court, and you're under a giant jellyfish.
Yeah, I still call it the Festival Plaza. Like, I had to make myself say Lion's Court
like
just
new
now.
players will come into it and be like, "What? Why is this called Lion's Court?
Why is
I
this
don't know.
Lion's Court?
This name doesn't make any
The
sense."
jellyfish.
So,
Well,
had
there's
I
a
known the
little
lion was going away, I probably would have renamed it, or I would have voted differently. But
Yeah.
oh,
That
Such a shame.
lion's gone completely, right?
Yeah, it's nowhere
There's-
now.
There's a lion statue.
There's a lion
somewhere,
statue,
isn't
the statue of champions or trophy of champions or something,
Yeah.
right across the Theo Ashford Bridge, which I thought was really funny that we voted against Theo Ashford Memorial, and then there's a Theo Ashford
Got it
Bridge.
anyway.
I was like, they really wanted to put Theo Ashford in there somewhere.
that's right. He has his
was
own
assassin.
bridge. Deal with it.
Speaking of said bridge, Theo Ashford's bridge is also where the greatest jumping puzzle in the world starts.
Oh
right.
my gosh.
Yeah. Now let's be honest here. Who here made it all the way around without using a mesmer portal?
Nope.
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 And I've run it twice now, and mesmer portals were used both times.
Many times.
A many.
It's
Yeah.
so
Used to-
hard.
I did it Tuesday during the Peachy Party. I had some amazing people help me through it, and oh my god, oh man, it was long and arduous, and there were times where people, I fell, and then they mesmer portaled me just further into the puzzle, and I was just like, okay, like, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I definitely, like, people are in chat are talking about, that some people were able to do it. I definitely think I could do it without a portal. It would take me even longer than it took me to do it with portals, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fall. I know it's going to happen eventually. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the way that this puzzle is set up. The first night I did it, Tirza was in stream. So her, me, and Matsta kind of ran through it, and then I did... after we did the Karka hunt, after Monkey Herb and Matsta helped me with the Karka hunt a little bit, a group of us ran through again and did it with a group on stream. I have a screenshot of us. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun both times. Yeah, it's difficult, it can be frustrating, but if you have a couple of mesmers with you to help people get back up to where you're at, and that way you're not leaving people behind and such, it is a long puzzle and a process, and the rewards aren't that good, but it's still fun regardless. And another
Yeah.
Josh Foreman puzzle, another Josh Foreman success. So
My only problem with it is that, and there's some jumping puzzles that suffer from this and some that don't, is that if I wasn't using a guide or having people help me through it, I would not have the faintest clue where to go.
I think that's a great thing though.
And some people like that. That's fine. Me personally, that's one of my biggest pet peeves in video games is not knowing where to go. I'll just rage quit. Like,
I think one of the because you kind of saw the opposite for this in the Aether Blade jumping puzzle. You could fairly easily figure out where to go, but it was just a nightmare to do it. But with this one, it's not that the jumping puzzle's just been dropped into the city. It's that almost parts of the city have been crafted around the jumping puzzle, and
Right.
so there, when you're running along the rooftops, that house is, those houses are just there as part of the community of Lion's Arch and built into the architecture and that kind of thing. And when you're down on the floor and you see all these kind of ropes and washing lines up above you, you think, that's a cool little detail.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later,
you
you go,
see someone
"Jesus."
run across.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But there's you get to about 3/4 of the way along, and you're on the longest kind of rope, and then there's just this kid there who's like, "Oh hey, what's up?"
yeah,
What are
yeah.
you doing?
Right.
What are you doing, you bastard? But it's
And there's
so,
a chef
it's,
on top of the lobster who wants butter.
who wants butter.
Yes.
But it's what I think is really, really cool about it is that you can't be teleported to the end of it.
Right.
You can't be teleported straight to the end of it, because to unlock the achievement and to complete the jumping puzzle, you need to open the chest. So you've got to get all 4 hidden stashes, and most of them are not teleportable to.
I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think you can. The Mesmer just needs to know a few tricks to get around, like where to jump down and stuff. But yeah, there's no checkpoints, so you don't save your progress or anything.
No.
Which
This
I
isn't
actually
Super
like.
Adventure Box.
Yeah. Well, like in the Silver Waste one is not a very difficult puzzle. It's a little confusing at the end with the squid holes and all that, but there's checkpoints along the way. So if you do fall or something, you can pay to get back up to your checkpoint.
Yeah.
That might actually that's probably a longer puzzle than the LA one, but not by much. But and there are hints in the puzzle, and I didn't notice this my first time through, but there's like chalk on the roof, or there's smokestacks coming out. There's the little arrow guys kind of pointing you, the weather vane guys kind of pointing you in the right direction. There are little hints, but the whole thing is just really fun.
It's I love it, and you get such great views of the entire city as well.
Yeah.
You know, as you wander up the side towards the final couple of stashes, and you can see all over the city, and you can look back and you can see where you were on the Lobster, and kind of go and then of course you miss a jump because you're too busy looking, and you're all the way back to Theo Ashford's bridge.
See, I've watched people doing the puzzle, but I've not actually attempted it at all yet.
Oh,
So-
you have to.
It was
Yeah.
fun. I had a lot of
So
fun.
good.
I'm just scared it's gonna be me for like 5 hours, getting angry as all hell. Just,
That's the fun part.
That's the perfect video to make, man. Just
Yeah,
like
you
5
record
hours
yourself
of
just
Corvus.
smashing your head with your monitor.
But it's not got this. It's not got the camera angle issues that the Aetherblade jumping puzzle had. I'd venture to say it's not as hard as the Aetherblade one, because the Aetherblade that last bit of the Aetherblade one where you have to dive down into that pool of water to get the achievement, and
Yeah, I mean, the diving part in the Aetherblade one is difficult. I don't know that I really found the Aetherblade puzzle that hard. It's one of the more difficult puzzles, but I don't know. I guess it's really difficult. Maybe I'm judging Troll's Revenge too hard because it's so new and I've only done it twice, and you know, the Not So Secret I've done many times now, so it doesn't seem like it's such a bad thing. And I got lucky with the dive. I didn't hit anything, so you know. But I definitely seen a lot of people die trying to make that dive into the little pool of water.
Yeah.
It was always
I
fun.
died a lot there.
Yeah.
Going back to just Lion's Arch in general, I would say that the only thing that I was disappointed with New Lion's Arch is the fact that the concept art meant nothing, almost. Like, it wasn't like the concept art at all. Because of the, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just because of the concept art, especially the like overhead view of like that giant circle or whatever, and that like the circular stone, because of that shot, I almost expected it to be more one piece and grand rather than it's like the piecemeal amusement park type like it is, which is fine. It's just different than what I expected. I was a little taken aback, like, where's my giant grandiose thing, like plaza,
Big Orient Arch type deal.
and then the Orient Arch with the lion, and they addressed this on Poi because I guess they got a lot of feedback about that, and they even said, well, sometimes the concept art is, it doesn't exactly turn out like that, right? It's just a concept. But then why did you release that concept art if there's gonna be nothing like it? It's a teaser, I know. But that was the only thing that I was just expecting something a little more grand. I wanted to stand in that giant circle and just like look at the giant space, and I didn't really get that. So
I guess it fit with like the color scheme, I guess. Like, it matched up there, and it's kind of why I was disappointed at the loading screen. I really would have liked that concept art to be the loading screen instead of the kind of nighttime shot kind of mismatch of different stuff that we have now. That would have been quite cool.
However, Lion's Arch has always been piecemeal. It's never been like a Divinity's
definitely.
Reach.
Yeah.
You know, it's always been
a
hodgepodge
solid
of things. So even though all these structures are new, you have the new houses, you have alleys, you have the octopus and all that stuff, it still almost looks piecemeal. And
Yeah,
that part of it is, I kind of like that it's still Lion's Arch.
It's still Lion's Arch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's,
I wonder too, like, the other thing that I kind of miss, and a lot of people have disagreed with me, which is perfectly okay. When we got the semi-rebuilt, or at least the trash removed from LA, we had 3 different areas for, like, the banker, the trading post, and whatever, right? And now we only have 1 area for that. So I kind of miss the bank and the trading post being in, like, different spots around the map. I kind of like that there were, there was 1 in the north and, 1 in the south and 1 to the side. I kind of miss not having those spread out a little more, or like more instances of them throughout the city.
So that you kind of had to run through and experience the city in order to get to the other one.
Well, what if, like, for example, if I'm out by the windmill or something, or I'm out by the Guild Hall area, what if I just want to stay out, like, in that area by the wedding island, for example? What if I just want to sit out there? Well, if I want to get to the bank and trading post, I now have to go to the other side of the city. And I guess that's okay, but I don't know. It's just a convenience thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a mate about this earlier. There's only 1 noted armor repair bloke in Lion's Arch, and he's tucked away in a back alley somewhere.
Really?
And yeah, apparently there's like this anvil thing that isn't marked on the map that you can use, which is over near the bank or something. But I've got no idea where it is. And, if you hadn't have told me about it, I wouldn't have known. And so every time I pop out of fractals because I'm crap at them and have to repair my armor, it's like I have to run around to this guy and then go back and dive in. But that's my only. It's like the pettiest complaint in the world, which is like I want another armor repair guy, and that's about it.
And you mentioned, Inks, you mentioned the wedding island. All of the RP spaces in this new city are insane. I do my peachy parties, but other than that, I don't really do any like role playing in game like that. But I was so excited for role players because there are everything, picnic blankets on the beach. And like the wedding island and the, like you said, the Crow's Nest Tavern, and there's bars, and there's just all of these roleplay spaces, and it just made me so excited.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've never been in MMOs for whatever reason. The role playing aspect always was lost on me, but I know that role players would appreciate if you could sit in chairs or sit on stools as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a technology limit there as why we don't have it, but if they could add that at some point, that would be pretty awesome, right? Mm-hmm. Especially like in the Crow's Nest Tavern, where there's like the show is going on, and
yeah,
I don't know, it would be cool.
I think in the preview, the poi that we got the preview of the guild halls, and you can have your guild tavern. I think there are no chairs, right? Did they purposefully leave chairs out? They're just taller tables, so that because you can't sit, why have chairs? So they just made taller tables so you can stand around the tables.
Yeah, there were little stools, but they were kind of tucked.
They
So
weren't
somebody
obvious.
made that comment. They were like, "Why do you have chairs if we're not allowed to sit in them?" kind of thing.
Or also in the guild hall thing, maybe in Lion's Arch too, I can't remember, but they also had lower tables with like little blankets or pillows around so that you can sit.
You could sleep or sit, right?
You could sit around the table. So
Right.
in some places, they recognize that, and there's like different ways around it, but there are still a lot of instances where there's tables with giant chairs that you just can't sit on.
I did see a bloke stood next to the marriage thing, and someone had just made it was a level 1 character. It was just called Divorce Lawyer.
That's amazing.
Stood next to the marriage plaza.
A little tip: if you're going to buy flowers from the guy, haggle him down to the lowest price, because I bought flowers from every tier, and they're always the same.
Inks took one
I
for
had
the
to know.
team for science.
Yeah, exactly.
I
know
think
if they
50
better
silver.
flower
It starts at
potatoes.
1 gold, and I think you can get
Yeah.
down to 50 silver.
50 silver,
Yeah, and it's the same. Divorce lawyer.
It's just so sneaky.
It's great.
Too funny.
Little touches like that, man.
So, are you ready for some news? We got an announcement just not too long ago.
We did get an announcement during the show, didn't we?
Yes.
So,
What would that be, Inks?
So, ArenaNet has announced their first World vs. World Borderlands stress test.
Woo!
It's going to be happening July 9th between 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific.
Oh,
the catch to
GuildGab
this-
Day.
Yeah, the catch to this is this will be on a separate server or a special server,
Oh.
and space will be limited. So it's by special invitation only. I don't know
Yes.
exactly what that means or how that's determined.
What?
if
But-
your name's not on the list, you're not
but-
coming in.
But
Yeah, I
But
guess.
I thought all future betas, if you pre-ordered
Oh.
Heart of Thorns,
All future Heart of Thorns betas.
this
is a
Heart
stress
of Thorns.
test, I guess, right?
Oh,
Stress
stress test. They can get around it with stress tests.
They, of course, will be streaming and such, and you'll be able to watch that on Twitch if you don't get in for whatever reason. But,
I see.
I mean, regardless, I'm excited
But still,
to see
that's awesome.
what the new border. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the new Borderland is like and what it's about.
It looked,
Even
I
just
mean,
to
it,
explore the area and stuff.
it sounds amazing, like the new mechanics and stuff. Me and Alex were there when they announced it.
Yeah,
when
we
they
were.
first started smoking with them, and it was
yeah.
super exciting. So yeah, I'm hoping to get in. I would really like to play and just test stuff out. I don't know. I like WoW very well, but it's definitely the game mode I do the least. And so, you know, if this wins me over and gives me way more of a reason to do it, then I'm gonna be super happy.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. Well, no, I won't. I'm not even bloody here next week. So
Oh, yes,
no!
you're
We'll
I'm
let
sure
you know
there
what
will
it's
be
like.
more. There's got to be more than one test. There's
Yeah.
got to be an actual beta.
color me
I-
jealous of all you guys getting to try it out.
Oh.
I hope that
Alex.
I hope we get news next week as well. Like I hope this isn't.
Yeah.
I hope it's not just a stress test. I mean, the stress test is great,
Yeah.
and if I get in, it'll be even better. But regardless, it'll be fun to watch. But I still want
I
to
want
know,
more
like,
specializations.
can we get a
Yeah,
specialization
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
challenge
It's
Show
been
the bloody
content
druid
or
already. Jeez.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, we've been waiting to hear about the druid since like January, so
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Just
All
sitting
of
here
them.
waiting for the druid.
Challenging group content. Anybody?
yeah, guys. Nah, I don't think anyone's that interested in that, to be honest. I don't think
Yes, no.
Eh.
I don't think that's a big point of contention. People are more bothered about bloody character slots, but
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah. Let's go
Which
down
we're
this road,
getting.
shall we?
Which we're getting. So.
Not get me started on character slots.
Oh, eggs! Give me some of your
I
character
don't
slots.
want them. I want to. Can I please gift away the extra ones
Gift
I already have? Jeez, seriously. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought them. Caught up in the moment.
All the
And
characters.
I filled them all out this week too. Like all my slots are now full, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Why did I make you?
You disappoint me, you pathetic
Yeah,
piece
really, seriously.
of digital trash.
You know what we,
Anyway,
and
so you know what we could talk about?
the
talk
white
about-
wings.
Love?
the
No.
White Wings.
The white wings, dude.
So
The new
sweet.
the animations, the physics on them
It's
are
been a good
so
year,
nice.
but you know, whatevs.
GG, Alex. GG.
Oh.
You're white.
You know, this was my thing when the Wings of Dwayne came out, and they were these little, and I know Aurora likes them, but they're these little itty bitty wings. I was like, oh, I really wish they were these giant angel wings. I wanted my Azura to be the angel wings with the achievement point armor, like the shiny achievement point armor.
Yeah.
Still missing pieces from those, but like that whole blindingly light set, you know.
Yeah.
It works, and now you can have like a light champion and a dark champion. You can do
It's true.
each
There's
one of each, I
angel
guess.
wings
But
and devil wings.
them changing the physics on the wings was a big thing for me because the black wings
Yeah,
were so
definitely.
stiff.
They
like
were.
you ran and they went side to side, and
Yeah.
They look amazing now.
yeah, fantastic change to those.
What?
And like
What?
they were only like temporary, right? Because I like
Yeah,
saw them,
they're-
and then like I just didn't go in for like another week or so. I was like, oh, okay, they're totally gone.
24 hours, I think.
24 hours.
And I was
God-
gone.
God
It's
damn.
thanks to the kind generosity of others that I even got them. The one Tuesday I'm gone, and they put the white wings out.
Yeah.
Bitches.
They like to tease, man. They like to tease.
Oh. And then the monk's outfit I bought immediately on Tuesday.
I was kind of
was-
disappointed with that.
I
It
was
looks
just-
it looks
Kinda
like
boring,
my
right?
dressing gown.
Yeah.
I can understand that people don't like it, that it's kind of plain for an outfit,
It's- I mean,
especially what
it's-
they've been putting out. But it's because I played a monk, I mained a monk in Guild
Yeah,
Wars
in Guild
1.
Wars 1.
And that was
Yeah.
like my armor for a long time. So I was like, what? Monk armor?
It's like a,
Sold.
it's a super strong throwback, and I think the
Yes.
people you know
Yeah.
who played Monk and had that in the first game are gonna appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I can understand why people who are kind of disconnected from that would just see it as like a
They see
really
it-
boring
Yeah,
outfit.
yeah, I totally agree. I just hope that they continue this and make other retro armors.
Right. And this might sound a bit silly, but if there was a
Or
character
outfits.
who could rampage all the time, or if Thief ends up getting staff, which was speculation, then I could maybe see getting it just because it now kind of fits with a not necessarily a
Martial
monk
staff.
class, but it has that feel of like melee monk combat sort of. So if there was like a class that did that, then I could say, okay, I could enjoy the character more, I guess, in that armor. Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, the armor is not for. I don't have the same nostalgia Aurora does, so.
Right,
not
and if they come out with,
exciting.
a retro warrior outfit, I probably
Sure.
won't be as interested, but
Yeah,
that was why it was exciting for me. And I just, I hope they do more. And they did what do they call it, the heroic armor sets? They started out the game with 3 throwback armors, a light, medium,
Yeah,
and a
they
heavy.
did.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they'll do the rest. I'm hoping for that elementalist outfit that's like at least on the female, it's got like these big like wing things on the side, and it's transparent like skirt and everything. There's some cool Guild Wars 1 armors, and I just hope they bring them back. The only gripe people say is that they're not armor sets. I keep saying armor. They were armor in Guild Wars 1, but they are outfits.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you think about it, I guess, and I'm not the biggest fan of outfits, but I think the outfit theme fits better with these particular sets.
Yes.
Because in that way it keeps it coherent for that particular theme. And I think they can also design backpacks to fit better within those outfits, right? Like the Balthazar, the back piece slots into that armor very nicely. Whereas if you were piecemealing it out, then it might not. The other distinction that's very important, we talked about this on GuildGab before, is that armor sets, like piecemeal armor sets, are going to be available only within the game. So when you see somebody in an outfit, nostalgia or otherwise, you can say, okay, I know that they got that off the trading post. It's very cool looking. But when you see somebody in like luminescent armor, then you know that they earned that armor by doing something.
Yeah.
So if there's a cool armor set, or with Heart of Thorns, I'm sure there will be new cool armor sets. But you'll know that they earned that armor set by playing the game or doing a particular thing. And I think that's rather important to the player base.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the right way to go about it, for sure.
How
Well,
do
we
you
know
guys
that there's,
feel
like,
about
that new-
the? Ooh,
Sorry, no. Go.
sure.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay.
I was gonna say one
Yeah.
thing. All right.
How do you guys feel about the specialization changes? Because I don't think we've had a chance to talk about those
Yeah,
either.
let's
Wow.
give me your biggest points. You guys, I know, could go on for an hour about this alone. So give me your biggest good or bad about the new trait system and skills.
Okay, well, when they first spoke about it and they did that long ass stream talking about each different class and what was going to happen to them, I was kind of disappointed with the Necromancer. But I'm actually really happy with this. I think, like, I don't know, I'm super happy with how it's turned out, and just, I don't know, it does feel like there's so many more possibilities I can go for now, and it was super fun going to PvP, and just PvP was insane after the patch hit. Like, it was just crazy. It
still is.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and some friends have been playing a 5 Guardian party, doing fractals and dungeons.
I've heard about that. What is?
Basically, there's a trait. There was a trait that was bugged where whenever you put down a symbol, it gives you like a bonus 10% damage. But what it does is it like combines everybody else's symbols when you use them at the same time. So it doubles.
Yeah.
It like ramps up
insane.
your damage to by like 50% instead of 10. And you can just yes, I have friends, Chain, don't be mean. And honestly, it's just insane. I mean, I'm not like a huge meta power player anyway, but like 5 of us on Zerk Guardians with Hammer and Greatsword traded a particular way with Shield of the Avenger on, so you have constant Aegis as well. It's just. Oh, it's incredible. It's so unbelievably broken, which is why I believe they have now disabled the trait until they can fix it.
They have, yeah. Well, you could see there was a video going around of people in Well v World and just burning through gates without using any siege at all. Just Guardians putting down those marks, and it was going down way faster than if you did have siege.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so it was 10%. For each Guardian. So in a dungeon it's bad enough because that's 50%. It's a 50% flat damage boost. And you were literally seeing people in LFG saying Guardians only. No other classes allowed.
Shoot.
So that's bad enough. But then let's take it to Quaddle or Triple Trouble Worm or World vs. World garrisons that are full tier 3 you kill in 10 seconds. When you have 40 Guardians now, or 30 Guardians, or whatever the crazy numbers were, that's 10% per. That's 400% damage. I don't even know if there was a cap to it, but people were killing to Quaddle with like 11 minutes left on the timer.
There's
15 minutes on the timer. It means you killed him in 4 minutes. I mean, it's.
I saw a screenshot of someone who they were on the final laser phase at 14 minutes 11.
Yeah,
so that's even crazier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're killing him. I mean, Guardians were hitting for like 90,000 damage. There's no way a character
Why did I not try this?
should hit for 90,000 damage on a boss. I mean, it's insane. And
oh my god.
like Corvus was saying, the gate siege is yesterday's news. Just bring Guardians to basically kick down the door.
Wow.
The doors were melting, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
But it is
What's really funny was
This tickles me.
I had avoided using it. I was like, I'm not even gonna bother using it because I don't even want to see how ridiculous it is. And last night, Matt's just like, no, come into PvP. I want to see how high this can. I want to see how this stacks with 2 Guardians. So he was doing it for like 2 or 3 seconds, and he was like, oh yeah, I can definitely see a big difference here. And the second I got there, they must have disabled it. And we were trying it, and I'm like, I don't see any difference. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, no.
And then somebody in map chat's like, oh, they just disabled such and such trait. And I was like, well, there's your answer. That's why it's not working anymore. It
was a lot of fun to mess around with. The other one as well, it seems to be Engineer's mortar kit, or the grenade kits.
The grenade.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah,
Engineer in general, really.
If you do not, so if you're playing structured PvP and there is an engineer, do not let him free cast on you. He will wreck your face.
Yeah.
So Grenadier is in the explosions line, or I forget the name of the line. It's in explosions or whatever it's called. I apologize. I play an engineer. I should probably know. But you take this trait, and if you throw your grenades behind your opponent, you actually splash them, or not splash them, but it actually throws more grenades out. And it does a ridiculous amount of damage. Now, think about, you're playing structured PvP, you're trying to capture a point, 2 or 3 guys get in the way. If you just start throwing grenades, you will down all of them in a matter of seconds. If they're not paying attention to you, if they don't stop you, stun you, disable you, whatever, you will down them all. It gets even worse. Explosions, thank you. Explosives, thank you. It gets even worse if you down one player and somebody else stops to res him. Do not. The engineer will own your face. He will wreck you. I'm telling you, we were doing Courtyard the other day, and I would down one player, and 2 players would run over to save him, and now all 3 are dead. It was just that. And I'm only using like 3 or 4 grenades to kill them. It's not even like something that's insane.
It's I don't know, man.
You couple that with something like where you can like AoE MOA them or something. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. It's going to get like nerfed.
Yeah, it has to. It has to.
I think there's a trait that you can take as well, where it's not just one person. You can turn like three people into mowers or something.
Right, it's an AoE MOA. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is you can take Elixir S. You can stealth yourself for a couple of seconds, run up on someone who's unsuspecting, and then you just hit them with your barrage, your grenade barrage, and they're at like half health in one hit, or maybe worse, depending on which class it is and what they're running. If it's another glass class, forget it. You're almost instantly dead. Now, other classes like Mesmers are very bursty right now, and they're very dangerous, and so are Guardians to a certain extent. But you know, the point of this is that this engineer trait is not working like it's supposed to be working.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they haven't turned it off. It's not as busted as the Guardian symbol was, but it's still, yeah. Just watch out for the grenades right now, because they are brutal.
Yeah, definitely.
What I did like though, what I thought was wonderful was, you know how in this patch Icebow was supposed to be getting a nerf?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
happened, really.
Yeah. Apparently, to balance it, instead of nerfing number 4, skills 2 and 3 have got a 25% buff.
Yeah.
But as long as it's balanced,
Sweet.
Well, that's it. It's all about the balance, Alex. Okay. That's.
I was like, all right, but I think,
Yeah, kill chain is clarifying for people. The grenades, what they're doing is they're cleaving your target, so you're getting double hits on people. So I don't remember how many it is, but let's say it's 3 or 4 grenades. It's now 6 to 8 grenades instead of like the normal amount, and it's double hitting. So if you crit with these things, then think of how high those numbers can be.
It's crazy.
All right, I think we're going to wrap up the show here. We will continue to talk about this in the post-show for those of you watching on Twitch. But for those of you watching on YouTube, we're going to end here. Please scroll down into the description and check out all of our channels and our Twitter accounts and such. And for everybody here on Twitch, stay tuned for the always awesome post-show. We love having you guys here live. We will see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Elites. Yeah.